sponsors, Love for Dogs Pet Grooming and Mark Drugs, to talk about why rescue is best. It's all on Joan Esposito Live, Local and Progressive. See our current adoptable at WCPT820.com.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you're having as lovely of a Monday as you possibly can. I don't know. I was going to say my usual. Hope that you're happy, healthy, and safe. And that's always true. I'm always hoping that that is the case for you. I was going to say I hope you're having a great Monday, but then I feel like then I set the expectations higher than everyone's able to achieve. And maybe you're just having a meh Monday, especially because, one, it's a little overcast in Chicago, which isn't bad. I do like an autumnal day. There was a fine mist today, and I was out walking, and that actually kind of felt a little refreshing. So I hope that you're having, I don't know, it seems like saying, I hope you're having an adequate Monday it's just not cheerful enough. It's not good radio. So I hope you're having a spectacular Monday wherever you are today, and I hope that you have the chance to give us a call or text, because this is your conversation. You can call us at 773-763-WCPT. That number is 773-763-9278. You can call or text to that number, but we would always really encourage you, enthusiastically, we encourage you to give us a call, because we love hearing your lovely voices, as our friend and our host on WCPT, Santita Jackson, says every single morning. And you probably know by now, and Joan covered this quite a bit, about Facebook being down. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. I don't actually know how to use WhatsApp, but that's just between you and me and everyone listening. But I don't know. I'm not as much of a tweeter as some folks are. I'm not an AOC tweeter. I'm just kind of when I think of it, or I know I can do something short. But in my tweet today, two things I wanted to tell you about, and also on the show, of course, is you can always watch us on YouTube Live. And it seems like today is a good day to subscribe to that channel for WCPT, so you can always know when we go live, and you don't have to miss today's show's live stream. So go ahead and subscribe to that, and you can watch us live there. And I will figure out a way to get to those comments if you are watching them live, because I have to figure that out with you. I also want to let you know that I also tweeted out about our interview coming up after our first break, coming up at about 5:15. We are going to talk to Congressman Raja about this exchange he had during an oversight hearing last week with a doctor from Texas. And they're talking about SB 8, this legislation in Texas where they so cruelly and in a catastrophic way infringe on women's rights in Texas, and it threatens to affect women across the country. And it doesn't just, we talk about this as women's rights, but it really is about human rights. This has an impact on a woman's ability to choose her future, which has an impact on the community, on our economy. This is not just about, it's not just about forcing women to bear a child, to go through with a pregnancy, to give birth. It is about all the experiences that happen afterwards. And I thought there was a great call on Tom Hartman's show today about, if a woman has decided that she does not want to give birth, then when she says, I don't want to have this pregnancy, does then the state or all these supporters then take care of all of the medical bills, all of the care, everything that happens from that moment on? No, of course they don't. And would that ever get passed? No, because this is not about what they claim. This is not about the protection of life, because we can see it's not about life. It simply is not. We see that every single day. And if you go to TikTok, we have a great video. We actually have a video that went viral, and we're very excited about that. And it was Congressman Raja's exchange with this doctor out of Texas. He asked her repeatedly, when a woman is the victim of rape, must she be forced to carry out that pregnancy? If your daughter were raped, he asked her, would you force her to continue that pregnancy? And she could not say yes or no. It was, I believe in making sure that women never have to make these choices, or I work towards making sure we live in a world where women don't make those choices. No, you don't. No, you don't work towards that, because if you did, we would not be in the situation. We would not be fighting for these rights. So I'm going to get fired up. We got 2 minutes before I have to go to the break. So Jim has some thoughts he wants to share. Hi, Jim. How are you doing this Monday?
Hi, Perry. I just want to give a shout out to all the billionaires that are hiding their money all over the world. Mm-hmm. Lovely people. You got the King and Queen of England who stashed $7 billion in the Cyprus Islands. You got people with all the dough in the world that's all hidden away. In the meantime, we have people dying of COVID all over the world that can't get a shot.
Yep.
But it's amazing why they want to hide all their dough. I don't get it.
Well,
I just don't get it.
Jim, did you see it's also in South Dakota that there's a ton of money being it is being stockpiled in South Dakota. Apparently their banking laws are giving shelter to a lot of rich people who don't want to have to pay any taxes on their money as well. So it's right here.
It's just, I know, but what happened over the last 20 years? I mean, years ago, if a guy had a couple $100 million, he kind of, put his chest out. He was, but now these people are hiding like, it was a disease. It was a disease.
I think the empowerment and the entitlement of the wealthy got even more strident under Reagan, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, I think that made billionaires and made college a fortune.
Yep.
I mean, when I went to college as a kid, that same college, I went for about $1,200 a semester. Now it's about $20,000 a semester.
Yeah, I just saw a story.
Everything went sky high after that. Him and Maggie Thatcher.
Oh yeah.
She was a thing of beauty.
I never hear anyone call her Maggie. I don't know. It sounds kind of too cute for her.
The IRA almost got her. She was about 1 floor too. You ever see it when he tried to kill her? It went through the hotel and went right into her washroom, right over the head of her.
Wow, I did not know. Yeah,
bathroom.
I don't remember.
She let seven beautiful Irish kids die on hunger strike. And
here,
didn't think a thing of it.
Here, to your point, CEO compensation has grown 940% since 1978. That's how much CEO compensation has gone, and that includes like all of their stock purchasing and their, whether it's golden parachutes and all those. Whereas, I did a piece on this as far as Illinois goes, that the income of the wealthiest has gone up 110% since 1970s in Illinois, and has gone up less than 10% for workers. So it's not sustainable. We keep giving it over to them.
Well, the pandemic, it made people a fortune. I mean, the stock market continued to go up, because they had cheap money. They kept buying the bottom of it. And so they're the ones with big money. What are you going to do with big money? You put it in the stock market or the real estate holdings. And
yep.
You don't have to be real imaginative once you got your hands on a couple $1 billion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all. How much is enough is what I always wonder. Yep. Well, have a great day, Jim. Thank you so much for sharing your outrage.
Take care.
You as well. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we will hear the interview I recorded recently, just about an hour ago, with Congressman Raja. Stay tuned, and thank you so much for hanging out with us.
The Hal Sparks radio program.
Governors of pro-Trump states, they must show their fealty towards Trump by mitigating any support for the health and safety of their own citizens against COVID, so that they don't upset him or the minority of his supporters amongst the Republicans in their state, which are often the majority of the voters in their state.
Hal Sparks, Saturdays from 11 to 1 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
If you don't have final expense insurance, this message is for you. Life Care provides valuable whole life insurance to help cover final expenses, medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. Call Life Care at 800-956-0683. 800-956-0683.
Research shows people remember radio ads that remind them of the past. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's an ad that'll really take you back.
Back in my day, I heard a voice from the radio say, Liberty Mutual customizes my home insurance so I only pay for what I need. I'm getting on in years now, but heavens to Betsy, there are some things an old fella like me just never forgets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It has been a wild few weeks since Texas passed this incredibly toxic and penalizing legislation which restricts women from having access to abortion, even in the cases of rape and incest. And as we saw over the weekend, millions of women have marched, millions of people, because everyone knows human rights include access to reproductive health for women. And on the line with us is our one of our favorite guests. We have Congressman Raja with us, and I appreciate your time. I know that you're incredibly busy, but you had this hearing last week where a doctor that you were trying to get some answers from refused to answer a simple yes or no question. So first of all, Congressman, what were your thoughts in August when Texas passed this horrifying legislation?
I was extremely distressed. It's inhumane, barbaric. Not only does it, ban almost all abortions after a quote-unquote fetal heartbeat is detected in direct contravention of Roe v. Wade, but it also sets up a very insidious enforcement system where basically, bounty hunters in the form of private citizens can spy on each other, family members, friends, and others, and report them and get a $10,000 bounty for doing so. So it's just a horrible law, and that's why I've been so outspoken on it.
And when you had these hearings last week, and not just this hearing, but it seems to be any time we have these conversations, when you have these meetings, these hearings, congressional conversations, if someone's on the other side of it, we've watched the drama unfold, and people regularly refuse to answer a question in yes or no. Have you ever had someone, when you've said, please, a yes or no question, do they ever say yes or no?
Very rarely. I think they know that being honest, giving the honest answer really will expose them, and so they hem and haw, and that's what this witness did.
Right. So tell us a little bit about Dr. Ingrid Scope, who is a doctor out of San Antonio, has been supportive of limiting the rights of women to have access to reproductive health. This exchange has gone viral. You have over 1 million views on our TikTok. Now we're just starting. I mean, we put videos out there and people have reacted, but this one has had the strongest reaction. So is this your first over 1 million TikTok video, or have you had others?
I had no idea. You just told me something I didn't know.
Yes, that's why we were thrilled, and we were grateful for how much you were sticking to the question and trying to hold her accountable for what she has worked to do to limit women's rights. Yeah.
So basically, should I just set it up like
sure.
What I actually asked? So it's look, my wife and I have a beautiful daughter. We have 3 beautiful children. We have a daughter, and probably one of our mortal fears in life, Patty, like every parent, is for her to ever be sexually assaulted or raped. And so basically, I was just thinking that morning, what could I ask her that's kind of personal to me and hopefully elicits, some kind of response that illuminates her thinking on this whole subject. So I basically asked the question very simply. I said, if God forbid your daughter, and she does have a daughter, by the way, I said, if God forbid your daughter were raped and became pregnant, would you force her to carry the fetus to term? And she then refused to answer the question. And I asked it like 3 different ways. And I even said, you're being evasive. You're not answering the question. And then finally I just gave up, and I basically said, look, I know exactly why you're not answering the question, which is that you actually would want your child, as a loving parent, you would want your child to have the right to choose. And the fact that you would have that standard for your own daughter, but adopt a different standard, a far more draconian one for all of our other children, daughters, sisters, and women across Texas and elsewhere, it exposes the hypocrisy of the position that people like you adopt in this situation. And then I went on to say, even Donald Trump, he tweeted on this, even Donald Trump supports an exception for rape and incest, and this particular law does not, which just shows how cruel it is. And anyway, the exchange went on, but that was the gist of the questioning.
And her reaction was, I'm working to live in a world where making decisions about abortion are necessary, and it's so maddening because they don't. Right. That's absolutely a lie. And that
it was like Governor Abbott, who's a real piece of work, when he was confronted with this issue of a rape pregnancy being forced upon a woman, said we're going to eliminate rapists from Texas. And it's like, you have this magic solution to eliminate rape in Texas and you haven't adopted it yet up till this point. I mean, that's ludicrous. And Dr. Scott said, no, we're not going to be eliminating rape or incest following this law. And I think the bottom line is they just want women to bear the cost of those horrible crimes.
It is continuing the trauma of rape. And I have to say, I am a survivor of childhood rape. And I know how hard it is for you to, thank you. It is it's startling to me, and it's often traumatizing for me and many survivors like me when we have these we have to have these conversations. But I know, and I do not speak for any other survivors, I know how important it is to continue to press for this and to ask these questions, because what they have done is dug in, because they have to across the board. If they're going to say that their beliefs based on their religion is that life begins at conception, which actually they believe it begins at preconception, because a woman doesn't even know it's 2 weeks before her last cycle, or whatever, the 4 weeks before her last cycle. And that statement that the doctor made, that most women know that they've been raped, is so painful and dismissive of the trauma of rape survivors. It was haughty and disgusting. It was how I felt when I heard her say that.
And my friend Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took up my line of questioning and then asked her that very question that you brought up, which is, a rape survivor will not know that she is pregnant, usually before that 6-week mark. And how dare you kind of imply that? Because that was her defense, Patty, to my questioning ultimately, which is, someone who is raped will know they're pregnant and will have time to get an abortion. And that's just patently untrue. And anyway, it was just illuminating in terms of just the double standard that they practice, and why we have to oppose these types of laws with everything we got.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that the work that you're doing on so many levels, Joan was just talking a little bit ago about how, the Facebook whistleblower who was talking about how they were not controlling these pages where a lot of the insurrectionists were making their plans because, they make money off of that when people get angry.
Correct.
And what we have done is allow the people who are angry about limiting rights and polluting the atmosphere and, threatening our democracy, we've allowed their anger to drive the day. And the people who are fighting for mitigating the horrible fallout from climate change, the people who are fighting for people's rights, for making sure that people have clean water and fresh air, can maintain a roof over their homes, feed their families. That's the outrage that we should be out in the streets about, and we were this weekend about women's health. And I'm so grateful for the hard work that you do. But I think, again, that rage, we are seeing some of it. That's why your video got over 1 million views, because people were really championing the fact that you were trying to hold her accountable for first, her actions, and second, for her inability to answer the question. I have to keep asking you, like, if I were you, I don't know how, like, do you meditate in order to maintain your composure in an exchange like that? Something.
I don't know what I did that day, but it was. I think what I try to do as much as I can during those question lines is I try to keep my language simple, and I just try to think about the real people that it affects. Sometimes I can get pretty emotional, Patty, when I think about whether it's my family member, my daughter, my wife, my friend, anybody that I know that for whom this really matters. And then I get emotional when I hear, a witness refuse to answer a question or is dismissive. And I know she knows exactly what she was doing, and, shame on her.
Absolutely. Again, we're talking to Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi of the Congressional 8th District in Illinois, over by the Schaumburg area. I know it's bigger than that. Actually, what are some of the rest of the suburbs that you have, or the area that you cover?
Oh, my goodness. It's got about 40 towns and cities, but it goes all the way from O'Hare. Mm-hmm. I have all the runways of O'Hare, but not the terminals, by the way. It goes from O'Hare to Elgin. And then from Wheeling all the way down to parts of Oak Brook. And the heart of it is Schaumburg and Hoffman Estates, Elk Grove Village, Palatine, that area. I live in Schaumburg.
And in Illinois, we have, in our state legislature, taken steps to make sure that women have their full access to abortion care, to health care rights. What are you hearing from your constituents? Because we obviously the threat is looming, coming up with the Supreme Court and how they will rule. Their absence of reacting to this original bill is galling. But what are your constituents telling you going into the next period of trying to fight this?
So thankfully, we live in a state in Illinois where women's reproductive rights are jealously guarded and protected in the law. In fact, so much so that there's even a trigger where if for some reason Roe were overturned at the Supreme Court level, additional protections would go into place in Illinois. And so that's, in fact, why so many people from other states are coming here again, Patty, because the restrictive laws there prevent them from exercising their choice. So they have to travel all the way here. In fact, I did a press conference with Governor Pritzker, as well as a couple of my colleagues from the congressional delegation at the Planned Parenthood Clinic in Aurora recently. And they said that they were already seeing people from Texas flying up here. And, I mean, I think one of them said that somebody had to drain her whole life savings out of her bank account to fly up to Illinois to have this procedure. I mean, what kind of that's so cruel to me that you'd set up a situation where you would force a woman to do that, and yet that is the world we live in right now. And we will continue to be I think a welcoming place for those people as long as this happens.
When you have a hearing like this with the oversight committee that you had last week, what steps can you take with fellow Democrats in order to fight for reproductive health? Because if it's at the state level right now, I'm wondering what steps can be really put in place, what efforts are out there right now at the federal level.
I think that the most important thing is to codify Roe v. Wade.
Yes, please.
Into law.
Sorry. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's called the Women's Health Protection Act. We voted on it 2 weeks ago. It goes to the Senate. Unfortunately, things get filibustered in the Senate, and so we'll see how this is treated there. The one thing that I can say is that even some Republicans I think, will be very reluctant to, stand by, Texas's SB 8, for instance, because it is so horrible and inhumane. All that being said, we have to continue to push. Also, elections matter, Patty. Who would have thought that Donald Trump would have had the opportunity to seat 3 Supreme Court justices in 4 years? That was extraordinary and unusual, but that's what happens. Elections have consequences, and we have to remember that every time we go out. And now I am pushing the White House to do everything they can to nominate people to the courts, the federal court system, who will abide by the rule of law and observe precedent and so forth, because our rights depend on it.
Yeah, that absolutely has to be the case, because when you talk about Republicans who might not stand behind SB 8, the issue is that they don't want to vote against anything that allows the expansion of abortion, because now that it's been scaled back in Texas, they don't want to be held to the fire from their party, because they have become a party of extremists, and somehow trigger this radical right that will come after them in their elections. So it seems like a really, I don't have any faith in Republicans doing anything to help repeal SB 8 or do anything in reaction to it. But that's just me. I could be wrong. Could I be wrong?
I think, unfortunately, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think that, the only way that it's going to be corrected, again, is at the federal level and having a national protection. I know the Biden administration is currently putting lawsuits forward to try to overturn SB 8. Some of those might be successful, by the way, but again, I think that here in Illinois, we have to be a safe haven, and we have to do everything we can to protect our rights and welcome those who choose to exercise theirs as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so grateful for your time. I forgot to ask your folks how much time you had, so I'm going to assume that I've gone past what they wanted you to do. So I thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and I would love to have you on the show again sometime. Do me a favor, go fix the country. We'll be here when you're done.
Okay.
I know, you know what I mean. I really, we're so grateful for your work, and take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you so much, sir. And everyone can go to Krishnamoorthi.house.gov for more information about all the great work that he's doing.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
Inbound Eden's touch and go Lincoln Avenue down to the Kennedy Merge. Lake Cook Road down to the Junction 25. Outbound at Foster, a reported crash. Now the Kennedy outbound hefty on the West Lake from Montrose to Harlem. 16 to the Split, 13 in the Express, 38 out to Weir. Inbound from the airport, it's 45 minutes, 21 at that on in from the Junction. Eisenhower in either direction. 45 minutes between the Circle and 390. Outbound slammed down to 25th Avenue. Stevenson outbound busy to Cicero. From DeSable Lakeshore Drive out to 355 and 43. South 55, crawling from the vet stool down to Veterans Parkway, with a stall blocking the left lane. Now on the Dan Ryan outbound in the locals at 47th, word of a crash. Downtown out to 95th and 29. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges.
Get your news with Newsy, the only 24/7 news network that's free, using your TV's digital antenna or your favorite streaming device. Newsy is the essential, relevant journalism you've been searching for. Solid facts without the opinions. Learn more at newsy.com.
Do you remember last year's historic rainfall? Well, at Permaseal, we certainly do. And as much as we like helping homeowners solve their problems, we'd much prefer to help you avoid them. Now, today is a great day to call Permaseal for a free foundation inspection. We can identify any potential problems you may have with your walls, floors, window wells, and sump pumps, as well as give you a written estimate of any existing problems that you may have been living with. Our inspectors are also trained and certified to identify any structural problems and concerns that you may have. The inspection is free, and the peace of mind that you will have when the next thunderstorms come rolling through is priceless. Permaseal has earned an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and has helped over 450,000 homeowners just like you. Call 800-421-7325, 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net.
Young, best for being better, Permaseal.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
My friend Marty, he wants to split the party. He wants blue folks in red states to vote green. I can see his point, though I really gotta say, no, we can't have another 2016. It seems nothing beats orange, nothing even freaking rhymes with it. What's a battered nation supposed to do? His Royal Orange Highness, he does love to divide us. We gotta stick together and vote blue. When I recycle, I'm green, green as green can be. I do my level best, yes, it's true. But when I'm voting in November, I promise to remember it's us against him. Gotta vote blue.
Yeah, that's what we're working towards, is getting as many people to retain their seats, getting as many Democrats in positions where we can really move forward on a lot of issues, whether it's climate change or women's reproductive health. And I love Steve Goody's song, Vote Blue No Matter. It's not even Vote Blue No Matter Who, it's just Vote Blue. Lady B, I think so. Our guest John Seager was for tomorrow. I think. Was he ready for today? Because I want to. I don't want to. I might have gotten that booking wrong. I'm not sure. But if he's ready, I will take him a minute. I just want to take Mary's call real quick from Elk Grove Village. Hey, Mary, how are you doing? Hi, Mary. Oh, there you go. Hi, Mary. Mary. Nope. Mary?
You there?
Yes.
Hello?
Are you there? Hello? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Hi. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Congressman Raja, he's a rock star, an unsung hero. I mean, he is my congressman, and I'm from Elk Grove. And I just, very quickly, at the beginning of the pandemic, my sister, who also lives in Elk Grove, she's in kind of a predicament. She's married to a Republican. So she's Democrat, he's Republican, but he's a barber. He owns his own business. And then there was the lockdown, and he had to shut down his business. There was no option. There was no option for him to work from home. So they didn't know what to do because they had all these, there were plans out there, there were loans out there, but they couldn't navigate it. Getting on the website, they couldn't navigate it. So I said to her, call your congressman. Call Congressman Raja.
Right.
And I don't want to annihilate his last name.
I know. But I did the same thing. You heard me. I called him Congressman Raja, and I took a run at it. But yes, I'm with you. I want to be respectful. I also want to have it. I also think that there is honor and respect to being able to pronounce someone's name correctly. But then there's also disrespect of just sort of
butchering it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they did call. Her husband called, and I don't know if he picked up or if it was passed on to him. Raja called them right back that afternoon. Then, they were asking about the loans, and Congressman said, I don't have that answer for you, but I have someone in my office, and I will have them call you back. And he took down their information, and, they're like, oh, great, so, we'll probably get a phone call this week sometime. Within an hour, someone from his office called them back, and he gave them as much information as he could, and then he says, but you know what, I want to follow up on something, and he called them back the next day. So within 24-hour period, Congressman Raja and his office, his people, they made 3 phone calls, or they took 3 phone calls for my sister and her family.
Wow.
Because, my brother-in-law, what am I going to do? I'm a barber. I can't work. I can't work remotely. It was a very strange time for them, and my sister was like, he's just all up in my wheelhouse. He's here all the time. I'm like, he can't go anywhere. He can't work. He's just there. And at the end of the day, my brother-in-law said, you know what? I'm going to vote for that guy, because it doesn't matter if you're blue or red, who's going to do something for you? And Congressman Raja, I don't want to say his last name, he really came through for them and really helped them during a really scary time. So, I mean, that's all I want to say. That's my little story about the congressman, and I loved his town hall meetings. They were over the phone during the lockdown, and those were so enjoyable also.
He is remarkable. I agree. And when you have somebody that is willing to go down to that, and it sounds horrible, right? Go down to the level of where we are experiencing and enduring so many things on a personal level, to be invested in that is incredible, because we don't expect it, because we're cynical about it, right?
Yeah.
And people will tell you stories, and there are some people, some electeds who you can never get a hold of, but there are several who are not only accessible but are present and remember things, and that's the kind of congressman he strikes me as being. And to your with your story, I'm reminded of that.
Yes. So lead up again, folks. If you live in Elk Grove, Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates, or wherever, vote for Congressman Raja.
Yep, there you go. And by the way,
his last name.
I know. I exactly. I have to practice it, and look. People say Velasquez, all kinds of things. So I get it, but I will do better at making sure that we have it accessible and routine of saying his name correctly. I'll have to ask him again. I have to listen to it, because I am the worst when it comes to people's last names. I'm terrible when someone introduces themselves to me. I don't know if you ever do this, Mary, but like, let's say I was meeting you. In order to make myself remember your name, I would be like, is that Mary with an M? Just to remember.
You're the guy, the Progressive Beer, because I annihilate Kamala Harris's name. And when he came up with that beer, comma,
yep,
blah,
yep.
I was just like, that image is in my brain now, so now I know Kamala Harris.
Exactly. And thank you for reminding me. Kirk from Progressive Beer from Minocqua Brewing is going to be on later this week to update us on the lawsuits that he has against some of the school boards who refuse to have mask mandates, who are outlawing mask mandates.
Well, I did my part. I did my little Illinois part, and just gave my little donation and run with it. Hope they do well. Let's see if it happens.
Yeah, it takes the courage and wherewithal for folks who are in the position to really run through those gates sometimes and say, look, we're not going to take this anymore. Let's keep people safe.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you for taking my call.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day.
You take care of yourself.
I'm working on it. Thanks, Mary.
Me too.
Right? Yeah, it's been a long 18, 19, 20 months. I don't even know when we count from the pandemic starting and the shutdown. And to Mary's point about taking care of myself, I went to my doctor to a gynecologist for the first time in probably 2 years. And you should not put off your self-care, meaning your medical care, for that long. I'm fine right now. I mean, we had some tests done, but I'm of an age where it's time to do more tests. And I have family history of breast cancer and other stomach cancer and health issues that I need to be on top of. And I actually was talking to my doctor, and it was a new. I Googled. I don't know how you guys find your doctors if you've had one for a long time and you figure you're not going to change. I've been going to a family practice doctor for about 15 years, and I thought it was time to sort of separate that out, because I'm going through menopause, and not that everyone needs to hear about that, and I won't get in any details, but I have a family practitioner who it's not necessarily his specialty. So I wanted to go see someone to find out about all the different things I should be aware of, whether it's the mental health aspect of it, the physical, making sure that I have the right vitamins, including vitamin D and calcium, because once you enter a certain phase of your life, your bones take a hit when your hormones shift. So I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself, because women often do this. We don't go for our checkups for a variety of reasons. One of them being how painful that exam is. I don't want to, again, I want to refrain from getting into details, but I still am, I can't understand how women's health has not progressed past the stirrups. I don't understand. I have been having that exam since I was 16 years old, so that's over 30 some years ago, and it's basically the same exam. And you would think that at this point there should be a better way to do this, and I know that men don't understand, and women probably don't want to hear about this, but it is humiliating, it is painful, and it causes a lot of people to put that exam off. Now, having said that, I want women to hear this. Yes, we all feel that way. Yes, we all try to hide our panties when we go into the doctor's office. Yes, we all feel Like, it's just, I don't want to do it today. I can't, because it's just, once you make that appointment, you're like, oh, I gotta go do that day. It's important because there are so many ways in which we can catch things early and they can be treated and you can take care of yourself. One of the reasons that we put those exams off is because we have so many things, so many people to take care of, so many obligations, but we can't do any of those things if we aren't also taking care of ourselves. And this is another reason why when I talk about women's reproductive rights, when we talk about abortion, it is all a part of that entire picture. We were raised to think of our bodies as being icky, and that we shouldn't talk about those body parts. And men's health is so much better funded and researched than women's health is for a long time because of our body weight, because of the mysteries of our hormones and what we go through every month. They did not put as much energy and resources, as much of the money that's needed for research into women's health. And I know that firsthand. I used to work for a company that my job was to call investors and invite them to lunch to hear about different products or different clients that we had. And there was a day where, and I had to have a minimum of 20 people at these luncheons in order for the luncheon to be scheduled. And one day I was tasked with making phone calls about endometriosis, which is a thickening of the lining of the ovaries, and it is it affects at least 10% of women, if not more, which means somebody in your life who has this very painful situation, and they often perform hysterectomies in order to treat this, in order to eliminate the pain, which means that a woman cannot bear children, and it's an incredibly invasive surgery. It changes a woman's life, and so I had to call and invite investors to that. I mean, like investors of all levels, people who put the money into companies in order for them to continue to make treatments and products. And the other phone call I had to make to invite people to lunch was for it was an injection that they would put into baby chickens as they were coming down an assembly line. They would inject them with this chemical in order to make them bigger and juicier or whatever, so they would be more profitable for poultry and for butchering. And I will tell you, I was only able to get 4 investors interested in going to a luncheon about a treatment for endometriosis. And it was that moment, and it was 31. I stopped at 31. I'm sure I could have gotten more people. It was 31 people from investment companies that were willing to go and sit through a luncheon about baby chicken injections that would make them tastier in the slaughterhouses. And that was when I realized that and that was, by the way, that was in 1995. Things have not gotten better. The exam for women, for our pap smears, has been around since 1927. That's a long time that technology has not improved, that we have not made progress when it comes to treating women, to screening women. And we need to be better about that. We need more. And it is in part because men are still in power politically and financially. And again, that goes to not just women's health care when it comes to just the screenings, but what we're seeing with the elimination of women's rights in places like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, all these places, is because we are, we're just hosts. We are just byproducts of reproducing the human race, I guess, in their plan, their religious plan, and controlling women's bodies. Let's take a break here. 773-763 WCPT. That's 773-763-9278.
The David Pakman Show.
There's lots of states that are never going back into lockdown no matter what. There are states that have made it clear, no matter what happens, we're not putting any guidelines back on. Delta is here. 90% of U.S. cases now, I believe, are Delta. Businesses are open, things are open, and so on and so forth. But things are going to get very ugly if we don't get more people vaccinated.
The David Pakman Show. Weekday evenings at 8 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
The whole goal is to point people to something bigger.
What if the news was different and covered more than one side of the story? Not just the who or the what, but the why. What if it took you closer?
It's information and people want it.
So you can make up your own mind. What if the news lets you think for yourself? Introducing a new point of view. Yours. Newsy. Watch Newsy free on your TV. Learn more at newsy.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Sorry about that little dramatic pause again, like Joan was saying earlier. It's kind of like your moment to clear your thoughts, just like the day-long pause from Facebook, which, by the way, is back up. I just posted something about the Women's March because it was wonderful, and I figured I better get those photos up before Facebook goes down again. And Lady B reminded me of something that I want to share with you. As Joan Esposito mentioned earlier in her show, I have a pair of 3-day passes to Wizard World, and I'm going to take caller number 4 for this prize. We are giving away a pair of 3-day passes to Wizard World. Wizard World is back, and they are taking all the safety precautions. It's going to be at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. Come see your favorite superheroes, authors, actors, and so much more. Tickets to Wizard World are available at wizardworld.com, wizardworld.com, and they are following all COVID precautions. Vaccination cards are required for entry, so I'm glad to hear about that. The contests running on WCPT are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person. Right, because on our WCPT on our fan page, on our page, if you can jump on our page and register and be part of the club, we are also going to be pulling a winner from there. I believe Antonio was messaging about that earlier. So get involved. And the reason I sound so excited about this is because I have been going to Wizard World for about 5 or 6 years. So we are taking caller number 4 for a pair of passes, for 2 passes, 3 days. By the way, this is amazing, and they have all kinds of events scheduled throughout the weekend, and I'm this excited because I've been going to Wizard World for at least 5 or 6 years, if not longer. I can't remember the first one. I'm sure I have photos in my Google Photos, and I can share all the different costumes that I've had. I've done Batgirl. I have done River Song from Doctor Who. I've done a ton of these. My favorite was actually Harley Quinn. I did classic comic book Harley Quinn and Suicide Squad of the movies Harley Quinn with the. But here was the thing I loved about Harley Quinn. I didn't put on a blonde wig. I did wear both the sort of jester's costume with the cool collar with the little balls at the end for the kind of costume. The jester costume, and it's really cool. It's black and red, and I actually got to ride, not ride, but I got to sit on one of the Batman motorcycles, like I stole it. But I did all my own makeup, that was so much fun. But the other thing that I was struck by was how many young girls with dark brown hair like me, because I had the dark brown ponytails like she does, like Harley Quinn does, and how many young girls, in particular young Latina girls, who came up to me and wanted to have their picture with me, because there are often so few women in comic books who have dark hair, and they loved the look of it. They saw themselves, and that's basically how I grew up watching Wonder Woman. I didn't even know Linda Carter was Latina. She's half Mexican, half Scottish. I am half Irish and Mexican, so it really even reinforces my admiration for her as the way she portrayed one of the most iconic superheroes. So my point being about Wizard World is there's so much fantasy involved, and identifying and connecting with people who really enjoy the fantasy world, whether it's comic books or horror stories. There's really everything at these conventions. I've been to Comic-Cons and I've been to Wizard World. This weekend, I was just at the Mysterian Con, which was devoted to Mysterious Chicago. Mysterious Chicago is a group of tour guides and authors, led in particular by Adam Selzer, and they do all kinds of tours around the city, walking tours and boat tours. And a group of people convened on Chicago this weekend, and I actually performed on Saturday at noon for a group of devoted fans who just were so thrilled about being around each other and get to meet the people that they have connected with over the last year and a half during the pandemic. I'll have Adam Selzer on soon so you can get a chance to meet him. What I love about all of these conventions, it's not just that community of people who feel the same, who not feel the same way isn't the right word, but are drawn to whatever story or realm of literature or history. That there's an empowerment there. There's a wonderfulness about that. One of the things that my husband and I always comment on is when we go to, and like the TARDIS convention devoted to Doctor Who is usually every November, and Declan, my younger son Declan, is in a wheelchair, and it's one of the places where we never feel like people are staring at us. It's one of the most embracing environments, the most welcoming communities, not one of, but I'm saying all of these conventions. It's just people having fun. I guess it's my way of saying for me, it's like it's a place where I get to let my freak fly, because I just love fantasy. I love dressing up, and I don't know how many. I mean, I think I've got tubs of costumes, and we've always connected with Chicago Costume over on Montrose. If you're looking for great costumes, there's great places throughout the city. For me, in my neighborhood, I always go to Chicago Costume. We also have Fantasy Costume on Milwaukee Avenue. Chicago Costume has two locations, one on Montrose and the other one down on Fullerton near DePaul. And I know if you've got your favorite places, feel free to share those with us. Last year, Halloween was kind of truncated, so this year we're having fun decorating, whether it's just enjoying the fall or getting dressed up in your favorite goblin costumes and making your house maybe spooky. I saw one house that had, they have like mannequins dressed up like they're zombies walking toward the house, and some of them are climbing up the house. Some extraordinary creativity out there. And I would love to see any photos that you have decorating your home in the seasonal glory. Please feel free to send those along to us at WCPT, whether it's on our Facebook page or you can DM me at Patty V Show. One of the other places you can find me is at Neighbor Patty. I have conversations weekly on Wednesday mornings at 11 o'clock with folks in the community, whether it's business owners, community leaders, and we have I started that because I wanted to find ways to support the people in the neighborhood who we hope will be there through this crisis that we continue to struggle with, because there are so many parts of the country where people continue to refuse science and facts. I don't know. I know Chicago numbers are doing better with COVID, but we still have international travel. We have interstate travel with folks who, again, don't want to mask. They're belligerent. And I don't know if you've seen these videos. I'm sure you have, of medical professionals just at their wits' end with people, accusing them of, tricking them to believe that they have COVID. Even in their dying moments, refuse to believe that COVID is real or that a vaccination would have prevented this catastrophe. So I really encourage folks to find the joy where you can right now. I don't think that we're going to shut down again in Chicago. I really find that hard to believe because our vaccination numbers are so good. But I continue to, as many of us do, I know I'm preaching to the choir many days, but I continue to use precautions. I mask up even though I'm vaccinated. Ooh, that was the other thing at my doctor's office. I got my flu vaccine today. So that's another important element to staying healthy and making sure that our healthcare system is not overburdened. I know that there's another call coming in, but I am 3 seconds from having to get off the air to make room for the Rick Unger Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to Don, please call back tomorrow because I've got to go. Rick Unger's up next. Lady B, thank you so much for everything, and everyone here at WCPT. Enjoy your evening. We'll be back tomorrow. Hey, Betty and Larry, I still haven't heard as to whether or not you hang out with us for dinner. I'm just curious. All right. Have a great night, everybody. We will see you tomorrow, and we will have our friend John Seager on tomorrow to talk about his new work in regards to human trafficking. And we want to find out about the research he's done for the book he's written. More after that. Well, that's everything after this.
Are you wasting money on a timeshare you rarely use? Cancel it with Titan Exit Group. Get a free consultation and see how they can stop the never-ending maintenance fees and mortgage payments. In fact, if your timeshare contract is not terminated, you owe nothing, so you have nothing to lose. But those monthly fees. Get legally released from your timeshare, 100% guaranteed. Call now for your free consultation at 800-200-0894. 800-200-0894.
Create a workplace people love. With Envoy, don't just come back to better. Envoy, make hybrid work. Visit Envoy.com.
AP News, I'm Tim McGuire. An oil spill off the Southern California coast could close beaches and fishing for weeks. Here's